We're covering the top 10 luxury neighborhoods in the entire Charleston area. I'm Bryan Crabtree. We're going to go through the list of 10, starting with South of Broad in downtown Charleston. My office is at 18 Broad Street in Charleston. And if you take a little hike right outside of my office, you walk through probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been on earth. Now, what's the price point to afford this luxury living? Well, at the very low entry level, you might find something just shy of $2 million. I say might. Most everything south of Broad in downtown Charleston is somewhere between 2.5 million and infinity, depending on how historic and how unique and how exclusive it is. Some of the most expensive sales ever in South Carolina. In fact, most of them have been south of Broad and on Kiowa Island, which we'll get to in a bit. The number 2 luxury neighborhood in the Charleston Tri-County area is Sullivan's Island. Sullivan's Island is an interesting story. Back in the 1980s, you almost couldn't give away a home for $100,000 there. It was a middle class, sometimes considered trashy, and I even it feels funny saying that about Sullivan's Island, but considered a bit middle class or trashy as a neighborhood. Now it's one of the most high-end, most desirable, historic, expensive communities in the coast of the United States on the Atlantic side. Sullivan's Island homes, the average sales price there is about $5 million. Homes that, I sold homes for just shy of $1 million during the financial crash for sellers and banks. And those same homes today would be 5 and 6 times in some cases what we sold them for just 15 to 20 years ago. So Sullivan's Island is an exciting place because it has oceanfront. It has one of the most popular beaches in South Carolina that's the place where the locals that go most prominently, unless they're surfing, then they go to Isle of Palms or Folly Beach. So if you live in the Charleston area, especially Mount Pleasant, most people end up on Sullivan's Island, not where the tourists go on Isle of Palms. And the Front Beach Isle of Palms area, they end up Sullivan's. And on top of that, you have some phenomenal restaurants, a nice little scene in what you would call the downtown area of Sullivan's Island, which is just across the connector. You take a right and you've got a handful of really, really popular restaurants there. Sullivan's Island is a great community. It's full of people that live there. There's no short-term rentals to speak of unless they were grandfathered in from very, very, very long ago. It's a very residential community. That makes it ultimately super unique because people only buy on Sullivan's Island now to live there full time or as a family home for the second home. And usually those people are pretty wealthy and invest into their homes quite a lot. The third luxury community in Charleston is Isle of Palms, Wild Dunes, and the oceanfront. You have oceanfront estates. You have beautiful intercoastal waterway properties. You have the Wild Dunes Golf Club, Tennis Club, Racket Club, Swim Club, lots of commerce on the Front Beach Isle of Palms area, several restaurants, a very, very popular and expensive tourist destination. Number 4 is Kiowa Island. Now, why would I not put perhaps one of the most luxurious and high-end resort communities in the eastern United States at number 1 on the list? Well, Kiowa Island, I put at number 4 because it is super ultra high wealth luxury, but it is about an hour drive from downtown Charleston in modest traffic. You maybe get there in 45 minutes if there's no traffic at all on a Sunday afternoon. But it's typically an hour. It could be an hour and a half during the summer to get downtown. So you're really choosing Kiowa Island as a destination living location. Seabrook would be the same, which is the island just south of Kiowa Island. They share a common shopping area called Freshfields Village. And it's a wonderful area with restaurants, high-end shops, lifestyle shops, Freshfields Market, really a great facility, a great amenity. But when you're living there, you're kind of living there. And when you go out there, you're not running out to Costco or over to the Publix, at least for now, when you live on Kiowa Island or Seabrook. The Kiowa Ocean Course for golfers is a super high-end, super exclusive golf course that's as beautiful as any. The senior PGA has been held there multiple times. The PGA Tour has visited there. It is a top-notch golf course, and there are multiple other golf courses on Kiowa Island. Price points on Kiowa range from condos in the several $100,000 range, certainly off the water, to oceanfront estates that are a combination of two, three, four lots that are in the tens of millions of dollars. Number five, for luxury communities in the Charleston area, Daniel Island. Master plan community. It was done right. It has all the amenities, grocery store, basic medical facilities, doctors' offices, community service, veterinary, dentist, all of the things, plenty of restaurants. So it's sort of like a Kiowa Island light where you have a destination resort style community that you can live in. There are schools, private school, Bishop England is there, Daniel Island Elementary. So there's a lot of amenities on the island that attracts families, but it also attracts retirees and people at all walks of life. Lots of golf courses. It's one of the most exclusive community golf courses in the Charleston Tri-County area. Briars Creek, Daniel Island, Bulls Bay, Kiowa Island. These typically are full, and you have to buy a multi-million-dollar home in these communities typically to have access to buy into what could be $100,000 or $150,000 initiation fee, and then dues thereafter to be in the most exclusive but beautiful and vibrant golf clubs in the country. Number six on my list is Old Village. That's in Mount Pleasant. Old Village is a historic shrimping and fishing village. It was sort of what Mount Pleasant was 100, 150 years ago. It still has a lot of old and historic houses that rival some of those downtown Charleston, although not quite as old from the 16s and 1700s, but a lot of homes from the 1800s and the turn of the century, the turn into the 20th century. These homes have been well preserved. They're well cared for. There's a preservation society that's very active. So you have a feeling like you've stepped back in time to a place that was beautiful, wonderful, Charleston, Mount Pleasant, 150, 200 years ago, but yet you have the modern conveniences of a vibrant city of 110,000 people. Homes in the Old Village, which is, when you say Old Village, I've had people this is not a listing of the Old Village, Bryan, and maybe it's Old Village Landing off of Center Street. I remember one specifically, one of the old biddies of real estate got upset because I called it Old Village. And to me, Old Village is anything on the harbor side of Coleman and Ben Sawyer Boulevard up to and about Moultrie Middle School and a little beyond. That's, to me, Old Village. That's the old Mount Pleasant, Old Village, most desirable suburban area, the most in demand, the most expensive of the entire Charleston Tri-County area. Mostly not opinions. A little bit of that's opinion. Old Village really is everything harbor side of Royal Avenue. And even that might create controversy and a negative comment somewhere on my social media page. But I call it the East Hamptons of Charleston. Montauk is what comes to mind. I have visited Montauk on my sailboat, sailed it from Charleston there nonstop, landed in Montauk, looked around and said, this is somewhere I could be, because the lifestyle is oriented around water and being outside in the community, walking on the streets, seafood, coastal village lifestyle. So it's the closest thing Charleston has to the East Hamptons, like Montauk. It's not like you don't walk in Old Village and say, this is Montauk, but it has that essence that makes it so wonderful in terms of a community. This is probably my favorite community in the entire Charleston Tri-County area, but it's not one of the bigger ones. It's not one of the higher demand ones, and you don't see a lot of turnover. So I put it at number 7, but off of Mathis Ferry Road, next to Ion Community, is Old Park. And Old Park is on Hobcock Creek. The backside of it is. It has some of the most beautiful, magnificent, stately homes in the entire Charleston Tri-County area. Homes that rival, although newer and more modern built, more modern architecture, but homes that I think would rival what you buy for $10 million in downtown Charleston or Old Somerville in the Flowertown district or in the Old Village of Mount Pleasant. They're just newer. They were built in the last 20 or so, 20, 30 years. Old Park is gorgeous, and the homes there start at the very, very low right now in today's market. About, you might get lucky and find one for 2.75, 2.8 million, and they go all the way up to about 12 million for the best deep water estate on Hobcock Creek with a 100-foot dock and super deep water in the back. I've lived in Beresford Hall. That's number 8 on my list. I've sold a ton of homes in Beresford Hall over the years. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods I've ever been anywhere in the world. It's gated. It's on Noel Creek, which I kind of call Beresford Creek, but I'd be misleading if I did that. But Noel Creek is a super deep creek. It's not highly developed, at least for now. Point Hope is going to develop part of the creek prior to getting to Beresford Hall, and there'll be a lot of homes on that at some point, but it is like a nature preserve. I love taking my sailboat out from wherever it is in Charleston when it's in town. Right now it's in the Caribbean, but when the sailboat's here, I love taking it off the dock and anchoring in the middle of Beresford Creek. And I'm telling you, sunset and sunrise there is one of the most beautiful, phenomenal experiences you'll ever have on the water anywhere in the world, right there in Beresford Creek. And living in Beresford Creek creates almost a daily opportunity if you are connected to the nature there to experience that. So deep water access, those homes are in the that'd be stretching it, maybe 4 million plus range for deep water. I think there were 2 homes that sold in Beresford Hall over the last year, one at about 4 and some change, one at about 6 million, give or take, that were on deep water with what I call really deep water docks, like 12 feet at low tide. You know, I omitted Ion out of here, so I'll give it an honorable mention at the end. The next neighborhood that I really like, and I was involved in this neighborhood at a very, very minor level early in its development before they started selling the lots and homes, and that's Briars Creek on Johns Island. It's about 800 plus acres. There's not many homes, just a handful. It's an Audubon certified sanctuary for wildlife. So if you are lucky enough to be able to get a lot, build a house, or buy a house there, you're living amongst some of the most gorgeous wildlife experiences you'll have. It is a phenomenal world-class golf course. Honorable mention too is Bulls Bay Golf Club, which was developed by prominent local attorney Joe Rice of Motley Rice. It's gorgeous as well, but it's a very, very exclusive community with not many homes, which is why I didn't make the list. Finally is the Kiowa River Bohicket Quarter. It's one of my favorites because if you're looking for luxury living along the Bohicket Quarter, there's a lot of luxury, very, very established neighborhoods around there. And when I say established, I'm really talking about the trees, some hundreds of year old grand oak trees, hundreds of years old, which gives a canopy you cannot purchase. You cannot buy that. You have to buy into that. And that is a really unique factor. And from a luxury standpoint, Bohicket has a really navigable waterway with great fishing, great wildlife, and great access, ingress, egress to the Atlantic Ocean with no real depth restrictions for any size boat that you would have behind your house, and no height restrictions at all. So the honorable mention is also the Ion community, which has probably been one of the more studied communities that would be my number 11. Ion is a beautiful, wonderful, almost a recreation of downtown Charleston. So what it's done is it's created a downtown Charleston feel with modern versions of downtown Charleston, single family homes and villages and villas. And it has a little, community center, shops and things like that. So my honorable mention would be Ion. Although I didn't put it on my top 10 list, it's definitely one of the nicest communities in all of South Carolina. If you're looking for something specific, you have a lifestyle idea in mind, reach out to me, 843-343-4141, or visit my website at therealestateexperts.com.